I have Dave Johnson.
Hello, one.
Hello. So, as if anybody has been watching my channel for a while, they all know that I do a collaboration with Dave Johnson once a month, or at least try to. And and if those who are new here, I do a collaboration with Dave Johnson once a month. So we're all caught up now.
Yes.
And I know that in the summertime with you, I was just looking at high of 94 today, but you guys in town, you were talking about it being scorching, but you live by the beach now. So tell us all of your enjoyment and all of that about living by the beach, because you just moved.
Well, I've been doing all these other kinds of exercises like riding a bike, and I've done some other stuff. And I've just given all of that up for a long swim every day at the beach. And sometimes, like yesterday, I swam for 40 minutes. It's just really great to just be in the water and not have to pay gym fees. You will see me scratching, however, because there are mosquitoes now, and they are really whopper mosquitoes. So it's just great. I was told long ago that if I moved near the water, the energy would just be better for this work, and it really is. I can kind of hear the water in the distance right now, which is always just a nice feeling. I also have a big old backyard, which you might have seen in some videos, which is really a nice place to meditate, and I really have nothing to complain about.
Very nice. Oh, well, that is wonderful. So you is the beach that you're at, are there big waves that come in like you can surf them, or are they just little waves like
No, no, and I mean, in some ways that's good because in Australia, many of the places I would say don't ever go in the water alone. It's way, way, way too dangerous. And you think as American, oh no, 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 I'm from California. No, it is totally dangerous. Bondi Beach is just famous for having the sandbar just wash out from under you and you'll be out to sea. So most beaches have like serious people watching out for you. I have one here, but it's a bit far away that just takes a look and makes sure there's no sharks. A month and a half ago, I was in my kayak and they came and said, there's sharks around here. If you want to keep out in the water, that's up to you. But there's, I'm like, no, no, no. You don't need to talk me into it.
we're gonna round this up and go in?
But I always swim very close to the shore for this reason. But also, it is just really, there's almost no waves and almost no reptiles. At this one particular city is really the only place where I would swim on my own.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've seen those. I enjoy both. I enjoy the waves on one side, like if you go to like Delaware or something, you can go to one side where the waves are crashing, or you go to the other side where it's nice and calm. you know,
Wow,
so you can
that's
do
pretty
that.
awesome.
So that's nice. Okay, so what else you got going on your channel? Are you offering anything? You do readings. What are they, and how do they get a hold of you?
So I do readings, and I do teach people how to channel and readings as much in terms of predictions as well as other people. Often people find themselves learning how to channel because they realize that that's why they're really calling me, and I love teaching that stuff. I also do a past life regression. I occasionally do shamanic journeys too, if that's an interest of yours. There are so many things that I do that I'm actually very much concentrating right now on just a couple of things because then otherwise I would never get anything done. So I'm kind of re-upping my YouTube channel. I'm looking at and trying to sort of expand that some more. As well, I work with a group of channelers called the V Group. And we've done a lot of work, but not that many people know about it. So I'm trying to spread the word in the next few months. I'll be doing that as well.
Oh, fantastic. And the V, how do you get a hold of the V group if you want some people to join you?
You'll be able to find them on my channel. Sometimes I have a like sort of pop up that comes up there. I can send you a link to, because the problem with the V group name is that there's plenty of people named V group, so they're a little bit hard to find. But I think you can find it, for example, through Nature's Narrative V group would be one way. And if you look through my videos, I'll put one out tomorrow as well that will have a link. I can also send you a link.
Okay, yeah, you send it to me and I will put it underneath this video in the
That'd be great.
description portion of that. So fantastic. Okay. So now that we've got through all of the the housekeeping, as I always call it, the housekeeping, we have a few things that we're going to do tonight. At the end, make sure that you watch to the end because Dave Johnson is going to give us a message from Spirit. He's going to channel a message from Spirit for the collective, and so stay tuned for that. That's always very, very, very informative. I love them. But for right now, the first one we have is can you look into, it says that the United States has a security risk. Now, I just want you to kind of go, I know we talked behind the scenes a little bit about it, but I want to have you just go in and just see what you see, or are we not getting the truth? You know what I mean?
So, as some of you may know, I had some indications that something like this was coming up before. I actually made a video on it, which kind of freaked me out myself, and I took it down. Keep in mind, it's all a metaphor, so we don't know how, I didn't know how serious this was, but I think this was sort of what I'm foreseeing. And what I keep seeing is constantly, I keep seeing Mike Johnson. No relationship, by the way. Mike Johnson there, who is, he's very much playing this role of a political role, which is, hey, I'm this religious person. But underneath, there are some serious problems, like it's a contradiction for him that Russia is so dangerous because Trump does not want him to say so. So he's in this position where he's trying to act like, Trump is accurate, but at the same time, Trump is not accurate about Russia, or at least he's not forthcoming anything. So I keep seeing, all right, Johnson, what are you thinking? Mike Johnson is actually very nervous about a weapon which looks like a rocket. And one thing that I'm questioning is, they're claiming that it's this sort of this weapon that would only go after stuff and not people. Well, I've always, why would you put out such a story? Why would you tell that much information? So that's sort of what I'm scoping out for him. So Mike Johnson is much more nervous about him than he lets on. It's a particular weapon and it has a lot of potential. It looks like a really big rocket. And there's not much indication that it would only be used like to knock out a satellite. If it was used to knock out a satellite, that would just be a warning. It's not that useful, just knocking out a satellite. Satellites can be replaced. There are other satellites. He would just, Putin would just do that to frighten people. So I don't know if there's a target for this weapon right now. It is merely to make people afraid. And that is the information that our nation has and other nations have is really a warning if we continue to help Ukraine, for example. And he's just playing a game of chicken because, Putin's pretty crazy. He might do something like this. Okay, I don't know if he will yet. Right now, it's just a threat. But there's a good aspect to it, and that is that people like Johnson have to take it seriously. That is, they cannot just do Trump's bidding and pretend. This is a serious national threat, a threat to the planet. And it will destroy Mike Johnson, That is, Mike Johnson will, be trying to play both sides, and he will not be able to succeed. In a fairly short time, he will not be able to succeed. It's just a question of time before Trump goes after him about warning us about the missile. Let's just see if there's anything else about this. So I see Putin, very much dark Putin. He's like playing people like marionettes. He's just pulling strings. And the fact that he can pull strings in the American government is pretty disturbing. And I think that's a message that a lot of people are going to get from this, is that Putin is calling the shots about how Mike Johnson protects our society, and you know, Trump being his accomplice. It's going to eventually be revealed how close some Republicans are to this Russian government. They're playing with fire. Yeah. Did you want to ask any more about that?
Well, yeah, as you were talking, something was coming to me that, Putin is taking drastic steps. Could he be at the end? Because he did this to that guy, right, Navalny, and then
Yeah.
now he's doing the thing, and he getting closer? Like, he's taking drastic steps, like that Hail Mary. That's what it feels
Yeah.
like. What do
Three
you?
months. I mean, I got 3 months. I think these things will come to a head pretty, like maybe in March. And it is desperate. I mean, look, he should have won that war in 5 minutes. And instead, he's bogged down. And every day he's bogged down not winning that war is a day he cannot claim victory. And more Russian boys go to fight this war. Every single day it goes on. So, in this war of attrition, Ukraine's going to win. If it just stays the same, Ukraine wins. So he's desperately trying to do stuff. And I do get the feeling universe won't tell me when a person's going to die, but he's on his last legs. There's not that
Yeah,
much
that was
more.
what I was feeling. I was like,
Yeah.
this is like an end of the line Hail Marys.
6 months,
Yeah.
tops. I'd say that it could be 3. That something big, and it could just be political, will happen.
Well, it's just very interesting. What he doesn't want the most is for that guy to become, right, president or whatever. And if he
Right,
went, that other guy would probably have been moved up into that position, and he doesn't want that at all.
right,
Uh,
right. Mm.
anyways, for entertainment purposes only,
Uh-huh.
for sure. All right, so let's kind of move away from Russia and all of that, and send all of our good energy over to Ukraine, and that's all we can do at this point.
Right.
But I definitely don't want to add to their suffering. Now let's go to aliens.
Mm.
Now, like I said before, if anybody wants to go and watch some readings from Lori and Danny, I was on Danny's channel. We did a video. You have to go watch it. It's hilarious. We had a lot of fun, but we also asked this question as well, and I wanted to kind of get Dave's take on it, because we got some stuff, but you know how I am. I like to get all kinds of opinions. So, aliens, why haven't they
Mm.
contacted us? It's not, like I was saying before, that you could use that we weren't ready. Well, if they were here, we would get ready. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think that's a problem.
right,
It's
right.
just like anything
So,
else that happens in our lives. When it's here, we'll get ready.
well, here's the thing about aliens, and it's kind of interesting that I'm just about to do my yearly go away and meditate in the woods for 4 days. Well, a couple of years ago, I did that, and I was like on video. All right, aliens, I'm ready for you. I'm here camping out in the woods. If you guys want to talk. In the 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard the strangest sounds, and I immediately woke up and said, "Okay, universe, I am not ready to speak to aliens. No way, I'm not talking. Forget it. I am not leaving this tent." Okay, I've never been so terrified in my whole life. And I realized that, among other things, we are talking to aliens. When I work together with the V group, often who we contact is an alien. And I think there are a lot of people out there, including you guys, who are contacting these aliens. It's just not face to face. And I think that they have, just my opinion, that they've figured out that it is really uncomfortable to see an alien and that everybody thinks you're crazy, don't believe in them, if they don't believe you. Instead, you work with it on a spirit level. You don't see each other. The aliens wear whatever clothes that you find appealing. I think they're all out there. I mean, I think aliens would include Buddha and Jesus too, and all of the energies that where we go after we pass. I don't think they're necessarily just beings from another planet. So, but let's just like take a little deeper. Okay, spirit, why are aliens speaking to us? Okay, well, one of the thing is, again, I think that they are, and all of you guys could make a plan out there. I see many groups forming where they do this, where they sort of support each other channeling and go and speak to spirit, particularly aliens. You can do it now if you want to. But what they show me is there's this sort of different levels, almost like of consciousness, of awareness, of understanding. Keep in mind that the lower level would be that fear that I was talking about. Like, you're not going to talk to anybody if you're that afraid. You're not going to get their message. And then there's just another one of, sort of speaking the same language. And then there's a level of trust. And then there's a level of, are these good aliens or are they distracting aliens? All of these are different layers which one would have to go through to speak to them. They're also showing me that a few people are ready and have actually seen aliens in the flesh. I think that this happens in some places, particularly on the planet. So I get the southwest of the United States is a place where people actually do see them. They don't necessarily talk to anybody about it. Sometimes they do talk to people about it. And this is their way in. Like, they wouldn't necessarily be a spiritual person if they hadn't actually seen it with their own eyes. And it occurs to me that for some people, that's necessary to believe. They have to see it with their own eyes, or to change themselves, they have to see something that's really surprising and shocking, and that's how they go in. For a lot of us, we're kind of already there. We kind of already believe in what you cannot see, and we're well on our way to progressing. And so the aliens may not show themselves, but when you have a feeling of a ghost, what's the difference between a ghost and an alien? They're all coming from the light for the most part. The other thing is, some of the aliens are a little bit mischievous. They're not necessarily these positive forces. They might be a little bit selfish. And so, aliens on the good side don't necessarily want the more selfish aliens to be meddling. They just kind of make a rule, nobody breaks through. Keep in mind that humans do have to evolve on their own. Alien race could come and just give us some new form of energy, but it's important for us to kind of battle it out and fight the powers that exist and come up with our own energy. That is, we're going to learn more. You might think of it this way, Sheila, as you see your child playing with a toy. You could tell them how to do it, and this is how you play with the toy, or you just let them learn on their own. They'll learn more by learning on their own, even if it is a bit slower. Yeah, they'd scare us if they just showed up. If they just landed, they would cause a lot of disruption. People need to, just go out and vote first. And again, you really can. If you made a plan and you say, I want to talk to aliens, and you did this earnestly and you were grounded, I think you would meet them, if only in a dream. Do you ever feel like you've contacted them?
Necessarily have not felt like I have contacted them. I know I talk to a lot of people who think that they have. However, I think that my openness to it all, I wouldn't have a judgment if it was. So I think that may be it. I mean, I could have, but I would never have had a judgment on like, oh, you're an alien, you're an Earth person. I don't want to talk. You know, I would never have a judgment on it. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Uh-huh.
the aliens. You know, the one thing that always makes me believe that they're aliens is why would the humans produce a religion that rejects aliens
Yeah, a
if
good
it
question.
wasn't true, right? So the our religious part of our culture has told us a few truths. Number one, uh we can talk to our ancestors and their spirits. And then what we have is a religion who says don't do that. Now,
Uh-huh.
a religion, you know, says you can't have sex or whatever with whoever you want and be free as people. But a religion says we have to restrict that. You see, what we're supposed to have been, a religion has parentheses around it. And I thought
Right.
that's very telling as to what our culture should be like, is what the organized religions restrict us from being.
Right. It's kind of an indication of what you should do is when they tell you not to do it.
Correct. So
Mhm.
that's just very interesting to me. So yeah, uh, with all of that said, let's go to the Supreme Court. So
Uh-huh.
the question with the Supreme Court is not necessarily are they going to what side with Trump or they whatever this is. I want you to take the temperature of the Supreme Court. Are they getting sicker or are they getting better? Kind of a situation. Kind of get into their energy and just kind of get down to the core of who they are nowadays.
Well, it is kind of interesting because there are nine of them, so we're talking about nine different cores here, and I get that they're divided into three groups. There is one group that is diehard fanatic. Republicans are always right. This includes the conservatives, Kavanaugh types. There's another group of people who believe entirely in the Republican story, but at the same time, they want to appear fair and they still believe that, okay, we're always right, but we do have to follow these rules and at least we have to appear that we are equal. We just have to appear that we're fair. We're not, but it's important for us to look like that. And there's a little bit of just checking themselves, going, well, that's too far. We can't always be 100% political. And then, of course, there's the liberals on the court who are 100% pretty much in shock that this is how the court has been reduced. It is no longer a thinking body. It is more like a political body. It's no longer advancing towards the future. It's trying to recreate the past. So what is interesting is that there really are three parts of this court. They're not totally divided into 333. Some of them float a little bit in the conservative direction between absolutes and non-absolutes. There are two people on the Supreme Court who will, no matter what, always side with the Republicans if they can get away with it. That is, if they can find some pretext within the law, they will side with the Republican. Those are, maybe two, sometimes three people. And I think that's Amy Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Alito. They will do that if they can get away with it. Sometimes they can't. There's just no law that supports them. They can't quote a law with a straight face, right? And then there's the other three that are sort of calculating and saying, well, what pretext can we find that will make this look legit? But they're still concerned. They're like, yeah, people are going to see this as a pretext. So the last three are, you know, is it Kontanji Jackson? I can't remember names when I do this work. But these three are are really almost like observers. They're just watching these crazy people change the country, having no real power except in terms of the response. So, see, if we look at this, it's quite a mess. You know, the court isn't supposed to work in these, you know, three camps. Sure, one could argue that there were two camps before, but at least there was a sort of respect from each other. You know, historically, the left and right may not have agreed on the Supreme Court, but usually they were principled people, and what they were doing is based on principle. Now, we could look at lots of Supreme Court decisions that were absolutely unethical decisions. You know, slavery, women's rights, you name it, and that was in history. From the 70s, it really was about showing your ideology and actually convincing people that what you were doing was the right thing to do. Now there's no convincing from the right. They're just going to do what they believe they can get away with. Fortunately, there are some people who have some misgivings on the right. Did you have any particular question around that?
No, that was pretty much it to see what was going on. Now the three camps kind of make sense because Clarence Thomas. I've never seen so many. I mean, there's probably more corrupt people, but his corruption is out in the open.
Totally next level corruption. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, he's just like he's like a like silly putty. He can be molded any way they want him to be molded,
Right, right.
which is
Well,
sad.
yeah, it is sad. And you know, a decade ago, Clarence Thomas was famous for never ever asking a question at any case. For decades and decades, he just sat there and he never asked a single question. They were like wondering sometimes if he was actually asleep during the hearing. Because
he
he
had no,
never asked
he
a
had
question.
nothing to do.
Now that the Republicans have a majority, he has plenty to say.
He has plenty to say. He has plenty to say. Feels a part of now, right? Oh goodness. Okay, so we're gonna pop a little fun one in there, Matt Gaetz. I don't know. You probably have looked at Matt Gaetz so many times. We're all sick of it too. But again, he has these text messages coming out, and they opened up another ethics thing, and of course he has Kevin McCarthy after him, and all of Kevin McCarthy's homies are after him. They didn't like what he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How's Matt Gaetz doing?
Well, one thing that I do find quite interesting about, you know, nasty people when they get together, they start to be nasty to each other when they get the power and it starts to slip away. So notice that, you know, the universe is taking care of us. It's like, yeah, there's two angry people meeting on the bus. They get in a fight so you don't have to, right? So kind of awesome to see the Republican Party splintering this way. Um, and yeah, looking at Matt's case, that snide little fraternity face of his, it's just so gross. That like fake smile that he always has is just gross. But let's get beyond the fake smile, and he is finally starting to get worried. So you know, there's this like kind of arrogant person that is completely untouchable, and Matt Gaetz was that guy for a long time. But as I look now, he looks worried and he looks like he's wondering, like, uh-oh, maybe this time. I get the feeling too, he's kind of like, I thought I destroyed those emails. I thought I covered that up. I didn't. So I think he thought he could delete things that he couldn't. And there are people at the receiving end who didn't delete. Mm. And there's somebody, it looks like an FBI guy that found something in particular that's really driven. Yeah, it's an FBI person that has a real interest in pursuing Matt Gaetz. And they get like a good person FBI agent that's grossed out at this kind of exploitation of women. So what are you gonna do there? Hmm. So Matt Gaetz is the kind of an arrogance of a person who always won at roulette. You know, it's like 1 in a million chance they win, 1 in a million chance they're going to be chosen to be, member of Congress, 1 in a million chance that X is going to happen. And since they keep getting lucky, they just assume that they're ordained to be lucky. Well, you eventually lose. You eventually lose when you gamble. And you can't always put it on red 22. Something eventually will happen. And that's what is starting to happen. And it's just beginning for him. So there's a ring being taken off of somebody's finger. I don't know whether I don't know where Getz is married, but a ring is taken off of somebody's finger. Huh. Maybe, maybe this is the witness. I have a feeling like, the witness might have gone underground. There was a witness and then they sort of disappeared. That witness, maybe they went on with their lives and they got married and they didn't want to drag it into the, limelight again and ruin their present relationship. But I wonder if that relationship just didn't work out and now that person is willing to testify. Uh, as I distinctly see a woman's hand and like with fingernails and they take the wedding ring off and now she's angry. She's maybe ready to testify. And I think that's the most important thing. A person willing to testify is what's really needed to bring him down. Otherwise, no matter what they do, it'll only be a slap on the wrist. You have to have a witness who was harmed by him, who is believable and sympathetic, and that's the person that I see evolving. He is interesting and he's the kind of guy that will never give up. So he won't just resign, even to save himself. He sees that as a sign of weakness. And because he's always won, he can't imagine losing. So he's got the problem he's got is he's just really arrogant. Because he should resign and walk away. He's taking a really big risk that he goes to prison. So what's that? I'm kind of seeing in a kind of prison. It's kind of a more dome shaped net, if you will. There are other women too. So he has exploited at least 3 women. Some of them do appear to be younger than 18. And they will potentially come forward. At least one person is going to come forward. Mm-hmm. And I get one of them being pretty young. It's like, younger than 17. Or he did something that involved them or harmed them in some way, or yeah, he's just a creep. Let's just see if there's anything more about him. Okay, there's a handcuff on one of his wrists, and the other handcuff goes over the other. Yeah, I think serious consequences are in store for Gaetz. Yeah.
Good.
Anything else?
About time. I know I did a remote view probably about a year and a half ago, and Matt Gaetz was in a bubble, like one of those, like a soap bubble. He was inside this soap bubble, and he's floating all around, just as happy as can be, floating in the air. And then somebody walks up to his bubble and pops it, and he
Yeah.
falls to the ground.
Yeah, yeah, and good for those people who are doing that popping.
Yeah, so he does his little bubble of protection gets destroyed.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So we definitely do that. Okay, so now we're up to the message from spirit.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a few seconds or whatever it takes for you to go ahead and get in there. Take a deep breath, whatever it is that you got to do. And we would
Okay.
love a message channeled from spirit.
All right. And I always like to tell people what it looks like when I do this. These days, sometimes I find myself walking up flights of stairs, which is what I am doing. It's funny though, there's like a wave. It almost like I'm looking at the inside of a seashell with that sort of curve. Uh-huh. And this is sort of forming an eye. All right. It's a very interesting character. It's just like a younger woman, but who represents the earth. When I say younger woman, I shouldn't, because this woman is like every age and every race. Um, we're learning to find our power and that deep kind of earthly power where we can stand in contradictions. All right. So how? What should I tell people? One thing that's useful for everyone is to stand firm, and that is you can really go to a room in your house and just stand like this and just feel your power. And you don't need to do anything else. If you can do that in a nature, that's great too. You can do this more than once because there's a lot of stress going on around you. A lot of times where you feel helpless and you don't want to there's no reason to feel helpless. You're not helpless. You are experiencing the things that are going on around you. You are taking in what's happening. You are experiencing you. You're not helpless. Just being there to watch and know is a very powerful place to be. If you want to feel that power, just go and stand with your feet on the ground, your arms upstretched, and just say that to yourself. I am a powerful person. I am seeing, I am being aware of, I am doing my best, whatever it is. These kinds of power stances are going to be important in the next year because there are some really tense and stressful things that are going to happen, and you're going to feel somewhat powerless. Remember, just observing things is powerful. Just taking them in and talking about them with your friends is powerful. And there is a nature to the universe. That is, there is a reason why all these things are happening now and teaching us what they are teaching. There is a reason for everything. Just do your best to be within the space of understanding and trusting. This doesn't justify the things that happen around you or the things that happen to you. It just means that there is a reason, there's something that we're all going to learn. And all right, I'm just going to channel this directly. So, Spirit speaks to you now as the Divine Feminine. Divine Feminine is available to all humans, male and female. It is that energy that is able to take things in and wait, that is able to contemplate and not react. This is a reasonable and good place to be. You'll know when to act. And in the meantime, take as much time as you can to take care of yourself, to enjoy your life. Don't obsess on the information that you are being given because you don't need to know every detail. Just know what you need to know, and then go about your day. Because if you get too obsessed in these things, you won't get anything else done. You'll just be worried, and you won't be able to act when the time to act shows up. And understand that spirit is always with you. Always, always, always. If you want help, just ask, and spirit will show up and give you what is needed. And be glad that you are the strong person that you are. You are able to be in the world and to change who you are at the minimum. And that is a very powerful thing. Just witnessing the world is a very powerful thing. And now we will depart. All right.
Thank you so much. I know that I like leaving things in a high vibration when I end a video, and I think that's fantastic. So,
Good.
all right, everyone, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for your support. Go and subscribe to Dave Johnson. And if you're not subscribed to me, please do. And we will see you in next month.
Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.